Hello, all you fabulous females out there. This is Louise Fennell coming to you from mmtv, and today my guest is Leah Dearborn, who is going to tell you all about the Aviation Museum in New Hampshire. Leah, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm happy to be here. My name is Leah Dearborn. I'm the Associate Director of the Aviation Museum of New Hampshire, located in Londonderry, New Hampshire at the Manchester-Boston Regional Airport.
Oh, sounds great. Okay, and how did you end up being connected with the museum?
Yeah, so my background is actually I worked as a journalist and an editor in Lynn, Massachusetts originally. I did that full-time for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to get my master's degree in international relations at UMass Boston. And as I was doing this, I was also working in finance. And you might wonder how these are connected to aviation. They're not really. But what ended up happening was I became very interested in combining sort of everything I was doing to do more grant writing and more sort of nonprofit related work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so towards the tail end of the pandemic, I started looking really hard for some nonprofit jobs, and I found the Aviation Museum. And I've been here ever since, and I think we've done some really interesting work that I wouldn't have gotten a chance to do if I'd been stuck at finance for these past 4 or so years.
Okay. Can you just go back for a second and define avatar? What an avatar is? I think you said you were an avatar, didn't you?
I think I said aviation or aviator.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay. Maybe everybody else caught it and I didn't, but okay, great. All right. Then we'll go on from there. So why don't you explain what the museum is like and what the people who get there. I went there a few days ago and there was a Halloween party going on and that was a lot of fun. Just explain to people what they can expect to see when they go there.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we are a small organization. I just kind of tell people, don't expect the Smithsonian when you come here. What you're not going to find is a tremendous amount of hangar space and large aircraft. But what you will find are some extremely knowledgeable volunteers who themselves have spent decades, in many cases, in the aviation industry. And you will also find that we are a center for STEM-related learning. We do a lot of programming with local schools, with getting kids excited about flight and with STEM education.
Ah, wow. I noticed you had some impersonators there. I saw Amelia Earhart and a couple of others. I think Eddie Rickenbacker, maybe?
We did, yeah. We had Amelia Earhart, Eddie Rickenbacker.
Okay. And there's a space. Is there a, I can't think of the title, but isn't there another impersonator who has gone into space?
Oh, yes, Alan Shepard. Alan Shepard was the first American man in space. Mm-hmm. And he, I think a lot of people don't know, he was actually a local to where the museum is. He was originally from Derry, New Hampshire.
Oh.
And the reason why our impersonator had his bike with him was because when Alan was a little kid, he used to cycle over to the airport on his bike, and he would sweep the hangar here in exchange for flight lessons. And that really paid off for him because over time he became an astronaut. So we tell that story a lot because I think it really shows how far you can go from just a local place.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, I was amazed at what I saw at the museum and all the model airplanes and the airplane hanging from the ceiling. And could you describe some of the things people can expect to see?
Yeah, so we focus on aviation history that is local to New England and New Hampshire. So some of the things you might see are we have some model aircraft made by a Tuskegee airman who is from Charleston, Mass, actually.
Oh.
And his background is during the war, he flew as a Tuskegee airman. And at the tail end of the war, which was an extremely decorated and revered position. But after the war, because he was black, he was not allowed to fly for corporate airlines. And so he put sort of his love of aviation into these full-scale models. And you can see those hanging from our ceiling. You might encounter artifacts kind of from mid-century flight. We specialize in Northeast Airlines paraphernalia, which merged with Delta in the early 1970s. And for the kids, they've got some hands-on stuff that they can do, such as an Embraer cockpit they can sit in, and they can hit at the controls as hard as they want.
Oh, wow.
We have a flight simulator as well, which is operational. We have a dedicated time on Saturday afternoons where people can come in and they can get the experience of one of our docents walking them through how to actually fly a plane on this flight simulator.
Wow, I missed that. I'm going to have to come back and do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. And do you go around and talk about the museum? Is that part of your job too?
It is. We also do a series of lectures.
Yeah.
I actually just wrote a book for the museum. It's called Grenier Air Base, A Beacon on the Home Front, and it's about the history of the airfield where the museum is located, because it was an Air Force base during World War II. So on November 7th at 7 p.m., I'll be talking here at the museum about that. But I've also done topics on early ballooning in New England. I've also, spoken on women's history, specifically related to the service in World War II, and also about segregation in the military during World War II.
Oh, wow. Pretty varied. That's great. Why don't you repeat the name of your new book again?
Yeah, it's called Grenier Air Base, A Beacon on the Home Front by Leah Dearborn, and it's available on Amazon on November 2nd.
Right. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay. It's available on Amazon.
Yes, November 2nd, and people can also purchase it directly through the museum as of right now.
Okay. Can you also get it from, is it Libra or one of those? Can you read it online?
You can't read it as a digital book, but you can also get it through Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore. If you go in starting November 2nd and just ask for it, they should be able to order it for you.
Oh, great. Wow. How was it writing the books? Is it hard to write a book like that?
It was, because interestingly, so Grenier Air Base was selected as an air base by the U.S. government because it's one of the northernmost points where the bombers could fly up through Labrador, Greenland, Iceland, into Scotland, and then down through England and into Germany and other parts of the European theater.
Wow.
So thousands of service members transited through this base. And you would have no idea today. There are no buildings really that remain of substance. It was very hard to find records. And of course, from the World War II days, not a lot of people still around who remember. So it was a little difficult to track down people to interview and to find records related to it.
Oh, wow. I imagine so. What gave you the idea to do that?
Well, there is a book published by the museum, actually in the early 2000s, which was sort of a more comprehensive encyclopedic sort of overview of the history of the airport. And what my background is in journalism is writing sort of feature pieces. I've done a lot of that for magazines. So what I really wanted to focus on was sort of more the human element,
Uh-huh.
like who came through here and what were their lives like. And
Uh-huh.
so I really tried to kind of hone in on that angle and produce something a little different.
Uh-huh. Great. Wow. Sounds fascinating. Uh-huh. So back to the museum. What are the hours and what are the ages that it appeals to the most? Or are there, or is it pretty much everybody?
So our hours, we are open year round, and we're open currently. We're hoping to eventually expand our hours, but for right
Uh-huh.
now,
Yeah.
we are Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
and Sunday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we
Oh.
also have a series of events that happen throughout the year. And
Oh,
that's,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have a speaker series on Thursday nights, for instance.
Uh-huh. And how would people find out about that? Is there a newsletter or go online and look up the museum or?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, which is www.nhahs.org,
Uh-huh.
or if you just Google Aviation Museum of New Hampshire, it'll come up.
Oh,
Or you
okay.
can go on Facebook and type in Aviation Museum of New Hampshire, and we always try to keep that updated with upcoming events.
Uh-huh. Okay, great. All right. And I just realized there was one thing that I really was interested in and I sort of slipped is the summer camp for younger or, well, high school age, I'm assuming. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So we started the summer camp in 2023. So it's fairly new. It's our Flights of Discovery Aviation Camp. It's a day camp. So campers don't stay overnight, but they get a very comprehensive sort of dive into aviation, like how to read charts. They spend a lot of time on the simulator. They get to visit behind the scenes at the Manchester airport. They go on other field trips. I know this year there's some tentative plans for some rocketry. And it's for students we divide the camp between students 10 to 13 and 14 to 17, the two different age groups.
Sure. Yeah.
And I will say a big component of this for us, it's a very STEM-driven camp, and we want it to be very accessible. So we fundraise throughout the year for a scholarship fund.
Oh,
so that
great.
we can include anyone who wants to attend, essentially. If a camper has a real interest in aviation and wants to attend this camp and their family can't afford it, we want to make sure there's no barrier.
And if anyone out there is listening and their child is interested, how would they go about finding out more about it and how to apply?
Yeah, so right now we are in the process of working on our 2025 camp. So the applications haven't been posted yet. I would keep an eye on our website.
Okay.
They'll probably open up sometime in early winter, like January or so.
Okay.
Another way they could do that is if they're really interested, they could directly contact our education director, whose name is Nathaniel McDonald.
Okay.
And I can give his email address if that would be helpful.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, so it's N as in Nancy, MacDonald, MacDonald, and that's at NH as in New Hampshire, AHS@applehenrysam.org. And he can answer questions about the summer camp.
Okay. How about repeating that?
Oh, yeah, no problem. His email is N as in Nancy, M as in McDonald, ACD as in dog, ONALD at NH as in New Hampshire, AHS@applehenrysam.org.
Okay, great. And now if you would just, I'm having you giving out a lot of information here, I know, but for people who want to visit the museum, go through that again, all right? The hours, days you're open.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So we are open year-round. We don't close in the wintertime. And we are open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sunday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Uh-huh.
as
Okay.
well as a rotating calendar of events.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. This has been really interesting. I hope other people have gotten as much from it as I have. And I really want to thank you. It's been fabulous. And I'm sure that all you people out there agree with me. This is Louise Fennell coming to you from mmtv. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thank you so much, Leah. Bye
Yeah,
now.
thank you very much for having me. Take
Oh,
care.
you're welcome. Bye.